Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome in to Duval Daily presented by GinJag.com. I am Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Friday, February 28th, final day of March. It is Combine Week. If you've been paying attention, you know that. If you haven't been paying attention, it's Combine Week. All the NFL draft picks, well, at least a fair amount of them, are out there testing, getting their measurements done, getting medical checks, meeting with teams, all that sort of stuff. And so that's a hot topic. The draft is a hot topic this week. The results of these combine events and drills, big topic right now around the NFL. We're following it closely. But free agency starts March 10th with the legal tampering period. That's like 10 days away. So thinking about the draft is obviously very important. It's front of mind right now for a lot of folks at the Combine, but it's 2 months away, almost 2 months away. Free agency is right around the corner, less than 2 weeks away, and thinking about acquiring veterans to help your football team needs to start taking center stage. Clearly, I asked James Gladstone at his introductory press conference, do you feel like it's a mad dash to get ready for free agency? You've got all these people in the Jaguars building that have been working in the same direction together. Now you drop in, like, how does that all work out? He said, no, they're in a great spot. He feels good. He's kind of trying to assimilate to what they're doing. I think it's still going to be his and Liam Cohen's ultimate decision who the Jaguars take in the draft, who they add in free agency. And one player they might be able to add, not via free agency, but via trade potentially, is Jaire Alexander, who the Packers have said, they're open to trading. And Jaire Alexander is one of the most talented cornerbacks in the NFL. He just turned 28 years old. Feels like he's been in the league forever, doesn't it? Feels like he's been playing at a high level for a long time. But he's also a guy that has dealt with injury, right? He's not been on the field as much as you would like for a highly priced player. So the question is, should the Jaguars pursue a trade for Jaire Alexander? And it's a multifaceted answer because, look, you do have a major connection point between the Jaguars and Jaire. You also have a big need at the position. From a cap perspective, can the Jaguars afford to go pursue someone like Jaire Alexander? Yes. I think the Packers would have to eat some of the cost, salary cap wise. The other part of it is, how much is it going to cost from a trade compensation standpoint? You've seen some talk about a first round pick. I don't think there's any way the Packers are getting a first round pick for a player that has had so many injuries, is 28 years old, which obviously is still in his prime, but it's not 28, ain't 25, it ain't 24, right? And again, he's dealt with a lot of injuries and he costs a lot of money. So it's an interesting topic of conversation. And the connection point between the Jaguars and Jaire Alexander is the fact that the Jaguars defensive coordinator was a position coach on the defense that Jaire Alexander comes from. Green Bay Packers, right? Would Anthony Campanile want Jaire Alexander's skill set in his defense at cost? Again, draft compensation, cap space, all that stuff, right? Draft pick compensation. I think personally, the most the Packers could get for Jaire Alexander is probably a third round pick. And I think that's optimistic. And that's not based on his level of play. That's based on the fact that he misses time with injury often. He is 28 years old. He does have a very expensive contract, right? If you're just talking about Jaire Alexander on the field and you don't have to, in a vacuum, and you don't have to factor in age, draft pick compensation and contract, you take Jaire Alexander all day. But I think if you could give up a fourth round pick for Jaire Alexander and the Packers have to eat some of that salary cap, at least for 2025, I could see it for sure. I could definitely see it. I could see, and this is also under the presumption that in the next 2 years, you're assuming or aiming to be competing at the highest level, not just to be competing to try to make the playoffs, but competing, you're pushing your chips in. That's the type of move trading for Jaire Alexander is. It's pushing your chips in. And so could he play opposite Tyson Campbell with Jarian Jones at nickel? And then you also figure out safety. I think you need 2 starters at safety. Yeah. I think that, on paper, that's fantastic. No question about it. If you're trying to push your chips in for this year, yes. Now, again, Anthony Campanile, does he feel like that is the best use of resources? Would he be fired up about it? Because if he would, that would make me feel very confident as a James Gladstone, as a Liam Cohen, in potentially pursuing that option, right? And the Jags have 2 third-round picks. Would I give up 88? I might, if that's like if we go figure out safety in free agency and, interior offensive line. Yeah, I could see it. I really could. But again, we don't know what Anthony Campanile thinks about Jaire. I think that he would probably love his energy, the way he plays, right? I think that he would probably love having him on the field with Tyson Campbell. And Jaire, you look at his stats like from the last several years, just in terms of how many games he has actually played. In 2024, he played 7 games. In 2023, he played 7 games. 2022, 16. That's awesome. Pro Bowl year. 2021, 4 games. So you're looking at 3 of the last 4 seasons he has played less than half the season. That is a major concern for me, which again, what is the cost of this? That's why I'm starting to think it's probably got to be a day 3 pick for Jaire. I mean, you're talking about a guy who averaged over the last 4 years, he averaged missing over half the season. I don't know how you foil that. It might just be best to try to go get someone else who is not as injury prone. But you could also say a good team goes and trades for Jaire Alexander and he stays healthy because injuries are so unpredictable. And then he's a Super Bowl champion type of piece to a team, like a piece that could put a team over the top. So yeah, it's a really difficult conversation. It's tough to kind of gauge. I'd be willing to I know I said 3rd. I would be willing to do one of those 4th round picks. Take a swing. Beyond that, it's tough. Gun to my head, would I do 88? If I felt like I could get all the rest of the pieces I needed, I probably would. And I would still draft cornerback in the draft at some point in the first couple days, right? Definitely by the end of round 4, I would have addressed corner in the draft as well. But you have to thread a very tiny needle as a Super Bowl champion. And does Jaire Alexander making that swing help you potentially thread that needle? I think it could. So that's why I would be in on trading for him at the right price. And saying, let the chips fall where they may. We're going to push our chips in on both sides of the ball, and we're trying to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. Why not? I don't think this team is too far away to really say that you can compete at the highest level over the next couple years. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a great weekend.